It was a mostly peaceful weekend in Washington. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and little Johnny Jihadis surrounded the White House. The Johnny Jihadis desecrating the statue of General Rochambeau, the Frenchman who, along with Lafayette in Washington, forced the surrender of British General Cornwallis, effectively winning the Revolutionary War. Police made no arrests. Actually, there was one arrest, but he escaped. Biden says he's defending democracy, but can't defend the statue of the general who helped start it. It was also Biden's biggest turnout of the season. Crowd size in the tens of thousands. More Democrats protested Biden in one night than showed up to support him all year. Kamala also got showered with Sharia love in Michigan.
We mourn all the innocent lives that have been lost in Gaza, including those tragically killed today. For the past 8 months, President Biden and I have been working every day to bring this conflict. I'm speaking right now, and I value and respect your voice, but I'm speaking right now.
While Biden and Kamala were getting heckled out of their own blue backyards, Trump was on their home turf, getting some California love. 45 didn't come home empty-handed. More on that in a minute. Then he flew to Vegas for a campaign rally that was so hot the teleprompter broke.
Could you imagine if Biden was up? He's no good with the teleprompter. He's the worst I've seen. But could you imagine if the teleprompters went off? Here's Biden. He wouldn't even say anything because he's incapable. He'd probably go pause, pause. How about when he's reading the teleprompter and then they say pause, meaning, maybe you'll get about 3 people clapping. And he goes pause. No, he just walk off the stage like this. Oh, teleprompter. Oh. This guy is the worst.
After the comedy show, Trump revealed a new economic policy that hardworking Americans are going to love.
People are saying to themselves, were we better off 4 years ago or are we better off now? And it wasn't even close. We had the greatest economy in history. What we did in taxes, nobody's ever done. So this is the first time I've said this. And for those hotel workers and people that get tips, you're going to be very happy. Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Now, when I was a bellhop, they paid me about $4.25 an hour, but I made hundreds of dollars in cash tips, which we didn't report, obviously, because they can tax it. But everything's on credit cards now. You can't hide it. Uncle Sam taxes tips. Biden hired 87,000 extra IRS agents, gave them guns to do it. Trump's tip tax cut makes Biden look like a sinister old geezer, and it's already moving the needle.
I did talk with some hotel workers yesterday, some service workers here in Las Vegas, about how that is playing with them. And Anne-Marie, about 6 people told me that would change their vote. That is enough to make them switch from voting Democrat to Republican if Donald Trump is promising something like that to them.
Sources in Delaware tell me Biden's a terrible tipper. Usually has somebody else pay for him. But when he does pay, no bueno. A bad tipping president who taxes tips doesn't get reelected. A new CBS poll says the economy is the #1 issue for Americans, not the Trump conviction. That's at the bottom of the list. And it's not just the economy, stupid. Turns out most America wants mass deportations too.
Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10.
So unpack that a bit, because this 62% of Americans favor deporting all undocumented immigrants. Some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical in some sense to round up children. So what exactly do people think they're supporting?
Deporting illegals could be illegal, is the kind of brilliant analysis Americans are blessed with on CBS Sundays. Remember Biden's executive order to shut down the border if border crossings hit over 2,500 a day? Well, border crossings have been over 2,500 a day every day since Biden signed the order, and he hasn't shut it down. The day after he signed the order, there were 4,000 border crossings. The next day, they were 10,000. Anybody hear anything about Biden shutting down the border? You didn't, because he didn't. Why would Democrats support a man like that? They don't. A friend of the show, Nick Shirley, went to Compton. Watch.
Who are you voting for in 2024?
Obama.
Obama's not even running.
I don't know then.
I'm voting for Trump, homie, but I'm voting for Trump because he putting money in our pocket.
I'm going to say Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
No, I'm just playing. Probably Trump.
I ain't gonna lie, I'll go for Trump. I really would. I'll go for Trump because Biden ain't showed us nothing.
Trump for the people. Give me Trump, bro.
And why so?
Because he for us. Cheers to Trump.
Joe Biden's been president from 2020 to 2024. What differences have you seen in those past 8 years?
Everything's going up. Food's going up, gas going up, the economy is going up. So it's a difference, a major difference. What have you done for our community yet? We still in the ghetto, we still in the hood. What have we done? I haven't seen no changes, period.
From Compton to Silicon Valley, Democrats are walking away from the guy who can barely walk. Trump hauled in $30 million from his California swing. $12 million came straight out of Nancy Pelosi's backyard. Tech billionaires say they were impressed by how eloquent and articulate Trump was and opened up their checkbooks. He wasn't the guy I see on TV, one source told the Post. He was very thoughtful and self-deprecating. One of the billionaires who hosted the fundraiser for Trump was a lifelong Democrat who says he's been forced into political homelessness.
As a Democrat who has been left homeless, who is now definitely in the center, but probably leaning increasingly right, I'm left yet again with an appreciation, despite the messenger of the message of the Trump administration.
Buyer's remorse is rippling through the Democrat ranks. And Clinton guru James Carville says, "Don't blame me. I never wanted the guy."
It isn't a choice that I was crazy about. I actually was very public that I thought that President Biden should not run for re-election. But he did, and it's him and Trump, and that's where I am. The lack of enthusiasm among young people for public policy or public service or being involved in the public square is quite disheartening.
And the Democrat numbers guru, Nate Silver, announced today that the Biden approval rating has reached an all-time low and says Biden is in much worse shape than he was 4 years ago and is on track to lose handily, and suggests we might have hit the threshold where Biden dropping out would help Democrats more than if he stuck it out. Because what does it say about a man who won't protect America's symbolic landmarks, won't protect our national sovereignty, and won't even protect workers' meager tips from vicious IRS agents during an inflationary bubble that he caused? If you love this country, you fight to protect it.
Number one, you take any of the greatest fighters of all time, Trump is number one. The most resilient human being that I have ever met in my life.
In what respect?
Why keep doing this? You know, you got money, you got a great life, you got whatever. Why keep doing this? And the one thing that I can tell you, and this is a fact, this guy loves this country, right? And he loves all Americans, regardless of what color, religion, or whatever it is. He's not a racist. He's a good human being, and he loves America, and he cares about this country. Period. End of story.
From waitresses to whales, from Compton to venture capital, to Lafayette Park, just yards from the White House, the anti-Biden avalanche is building up speed and is taking all of us along for the ride. From the bottom up to the top down, This election boils down to this: reason triumphing over fear. If enough Americans use their common sense and deliberate, and they don't allow their passions to be inflamed by demagogues, Joe Biden will be soundly defeated in November. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.